Okay, so, my low, my high, my act of kindness. Well, considering that even though today is Halloween, in fact, that's what this orange shirt is for, can anyone really do anything today? So, yeah, today is Halloween, which, happy Halloween, everyone. But, again, with how everything is being, they can't even have trick-or-treating in my area. So, yeah, it's actually not that great, believe it or not. I mean, it doesn't really apply to me because I'm 30 years old, I don't trick-or-treat anymore. But I really do feel bad for, the children who are really looking forward to, doing some good old-fashioned trick-or-treating this Halloween. So yeah, my low is the fact that all the children who want to go trick-or-treating today that can't, are probably feeling bad. Because, listen, my low can come from someone else's feelings, I care. I care that much. So, with that said, my high was, I got Reese's yesterday. That was always nice. I made myself some more pickles. Don't worry, I don't have a jar on me, but they're all in my refrigerator over there. And yeah, that's although actually another part of my low is when I tried making pickles last night, there was like one jar that just would not seal. Oh, got a message. Anyway, there was like one jar that just would not seal, but I finally got to seal. So yeah, now those pickles are gonna last indefinitely. So that's nice. And my act of kindness? What was my act of kindness? Pretty much my act of kindness was just simply, getting stuff for my grandmother and my nephews yesterday. So, that was always nice. And, with that said, we have a class in session video today. So, good morning, happy Saturday, happy Halloween. Maybe this should be my costume, I don't know. But, right. So, the fact that today is Halloween, because I was actually going back and forth on, because a week ago, I said I was going to do Archaeology 1 and 2, and Functional Analysis and Trigonometry. And considering what this weekend is, well, I say this weekend being Halloween, and Tuesday being a certain big voting election day, so that you may or may not have heard of, it's kind of up in the air. Like, what's functional analysis and trigonometry have to do with voting? See, that's why I think I'll probably wait until after the election to talk about that one. So, for today, so that next week for sure, I'm going to be doing functional analysis and trigonometry. But today, I'll do Archaeology 1 and 2, which, makes sense. Today is Halloween, and, archaeologists do tend to, quote-unquote, dig up dead people, which can be spooky. But, this was I think it's actually quite appropriate. Because, they dig up tombs and stuff like that. But in doing so, you actually learn about the past. And, like, how people lived back then. And so, here's the thing, this is the class where it is really hard for me to talk about. Because this one is, well, again, I never try and play favorites, but if I did play favorites, this would be up there. That's how good this class was. Now you're probably thinking, so what was so great about archaeology? Well, for one thing, this was a class where if you participated, you got a good grade. Which you're probably thinking, oh, that's easy. It's going to be a joke class then. And yeah, you can see it that way. But you know what's actually even better? Participating in a class in which the stuff that you're discussing is actually I don't know, interesting. Seriously, in Archaeology 1, you hit all the big notes. You hit the ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, all of like Europe, some of Africa and Asia. Actually, it was mostly Asia. So China, a little bit of Mongolia, all that. So wait, Nick, you mentioned there was Archaeology 1. What's Archaeology 2? Well, how about here? Not just in the United States, but also Central America, South America, the Polynesian Islands. Yeah. I mean, the saying goes, history is made every day. Well, believe it or not, history was being made way back when. Just solely because, people existed way back when. So, needless to say, that's already interesting. But easily the icing on this already delicious. Well, here's the thing. What really helped for me is that growing up, I did ask my father. Like, my father is a bit of a history nerd. Not really a nerd, but you get the idea. He's a bit of a history buff. And, I'd ask him these questions, and, he answers to the best of his ability. He mostly specializes in, like, World War II stuff and Civil War. Well, pretty much, like, anything, like, literally modern era, like, after the 1900s began. So, he's a big expert on that, partly because he actually grew up during some of those times. And by some of those times being, like, civil rights, Vietnam, all that stuff. But that's, I already talked about global. Let's talk about archaeology. So, but my father was actually very knowledgeable, and, in asking all those questions, I learned stuff, and I actually retained some of it, and, I was able to participate a lot in archaeology because I actually knew all this trivia, and that's actually really cool. But the icing on the already delicious cake, and believe it or not, this is one of the main reasons I want to talk about it. I said a week ago that I had the worst teacher I've ever had. This one was one of the best. This teacher was awesome. To put things into perspective, in this class, in both classes, we had like fun little projects. Like we played this one ancient game called Mandala, which like a buddy of mine and I from wrestling, like when the teacher wasn't looking, we just like played it constantly. It was awesome. And we did that. We did, we made a pyramid out of sugar cubes. That was fun. In archaeology too, she made fried plantains, because at that time we were talking about ancient cultures, that made plantains, like the Mayas, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Nazcas, the Olmecs, the mound builders. Seriously, we talked about a lot. And when it came to stuff like art and drawing, this teacher was not a perfectionist. She knew you were never going to be perfect at it, and that's okay. In fact, she went by the mantra that stick figures rule. So, yeah. When you think about it, the original cave drawings were stick figures, and, there's some of those highly celebrated drawings in all of history. So, there's nothing wrong with drawing stick figures here. Yeah, I know. People are always gonna, there's always gonna be that ongoing debate what art is. But if you're just trying to do a good job with what you do, that's really all that matters. And that's what she believed in. She was actually really, really, really cool like that. But in terms of also being a teacher, if you think you're also in the stops of being a teacher, oh no. See, as you all know, I actually did plays when I was over at Horseheads. This teacher was the seamstress for the costumes. She also participated in the actual plays a little bit. In fact, my senior year, we did Smokey Joe's Cafe for the fall production. Yeah, the fall production of Smokey Joe's Cafe. And she actually sang it. And she was really good. She sang, she and like two other faculty members were singing the song Don Juan. Like, Don Juan, when you had money, Don Juan, I was your honey. Like that song. That was great. But this teacher was also, like, she really did care about the education of her students. Like, really and truly. So much so that you didn't have a final exam, you had a final project, a presentation, actually. And this is the best part. Naturally, you signed up for when you were going to do your final presentation. And if for whatever reason, you're sick and can't come to school to do the final project, or on the off chance you thought you could get away with not doing it at all, guess what? If for whatever reason you couldn't do your final presentation, and if for whatever reason you couldn't go to school, she would personally come to your house and you'd have to do your presentation in front of her. Sick or not. Oh yeah. Now, I know she once said that she's done that before, but thankfully I can say it wasn't in my class. Actually, I had a pretty good group of students in my class, now that I think about it. So, yes, this was an awesome class. So, with that said, I actually do remember I remember about half of my final presentation for Archaeology 1. I remember what my final presentation was in Archaeology 2. Oh yeah, that's another thing we did. We saw movies. Like, in Archaeology 2, we actually got to leave school for the day and go see the showing of National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets, which, I think that movie was that bad. I liked it. We also saw The Emperor's New Groove in Archaeology 2, which I love that movie. That's awesome. In Archaeology 1, we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, because we were talking about Middle Eastern culture at that time and, religion and stuff. So, yeah, that was really cool. But with that being said, what was the final project you had to do? Well, for the final project, you had a list. And on this list, you had to do like 4 or 5 topics from this list of 10 or 20 things. And you had to do them all, and that would be your final presentation. With Archaeology 2, it had to be 5 things. I remember doing, the big 3 for, this area of the world, the Mayas, the Incas, the Aztecs. I did the Olmecs. And for those of you who don't know, the Olmecs are those peoples that have the statues that are, they're not the Moai. They're not the Moai. But they're statues with slanted heads, your head is like this, but then it's really slanted inside like this or whatever. It's difficult for me to actually I could probably show you a quick picture before that. And I did the Mayas, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Olmecs, and I did the Nazcas. The Nazcas are those lines you see in the desert from above that people think that aliens drew. So yeah, actually, I can probably show you all those in a minute. Plus, I have to, because here's the thing, that was Archaeology 2. Archaeology 1, and here's the thing, I said that my archaeology teacher is on Facebook, but she hasn't responded yet, which is a real shame because I was going to ask what that original list was for the archaeology final, because I remember 2 things I did. I talked about the 7 wonders of the ancient world, which for those of you who don't know are the Great Pyramid of Giza, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the Statue of Zeus, the Colossus of Rhodes, the Temple of Artemis, the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, and hold on, Pyramid, Temple, Gardens, Colossus, Statue, Mausoleum. Oh, the Pharos Lighthouse of Alexandria. So yeah, 7. There was that, and I also did, the other thing I remember doing in my final were the Greek orders. Now, what are the Greek orders, you might ask? Well, those old-timey houses that have cylindrical columns, at the front that look neat? I'll show you a picture of them momentarily. Those are essentially the Greek orders, and there are 3 different kinds. In fact, I'll show them right now. Darn it, hold on. This is unbecoming. Alright, hold on a second. By the way, I know what you guys are thinking. I mentioned Olmec. This isn't the one from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Sad as it is. But, hold on, I can show a picture of an Olmec statue. They specialize in drawing big heads, or sculpting like giant heads, or whatever. Oh, load. Hold on. Yeah, those are what the Olmecs look like, or the Olmec statues look like. So yeah, there's that. I was gonna show you the Nazca lines. Hold on. Yeah, they're not really the greatest, but can't really tell what they are. Those are what the Nazca lines look like. And finally, I was going to show what the Greek orders were. So, Greek orders of architecture. Right. So, believe it or not, for when I did the Greek orders, I had to go to 3 different areas, and I had to go to several places in Elmira that had these Greek orders. But sadly, I can't make this any bigger. But how about my computer mouse? Sorry. If you can't tell, Doric is the Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. Doric was, it's just flat like this. Ionic has what my archaeology teacher would refer to as the Princess Leia hair, Princess Leia buns or whatever. And Corinthian is more floral and easily the most decorative and, best looking one. So, yeah. So, you guys are learning today. It's interesting. So, yeah, all in all, I learned a lot in this course. And I said a week ago when I talked about the Asian trilogy, that trivia actually really helped me in that, and at least in Asian history. Not really so much with Vietnam War and U.S.-Asia relations in the 21st century, which I actually didn't talk about that very well. So, I mean, with the third one in the Asian trilogy, it's exactly what it is. We just talk about U.S. and Asia relations in today's time. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it was. But, yeah, I wouldn't have done well in that class, or actually a lot of other classes, if I didn't ask my dad all these questions, and I didn't really know that I could do well with this sort of trivia and knowledge until I took this course. So it does beg the question, how come I'm not like a historian or on history channel or anything like that? Well, here's the thing. History is that sort of major in college where you gotta write paper after paper after paper. And with so many things going on in the world, like, because again, history is being made every day, or so they say, like, what am I going to say that's any different? Unless something is like brand spanking new, that's revolutionary, world changing. In some ways, COVID-19 fits that description, sadly enough. Like, what am I going to say that's any different from what anyone else is going to say? So that's really why I never really pursued that sort of career. But it's still interesting, and again, it makes for great trivia knowledge. And if anything, if Schoolhouse Rock taught us anything, is that knowledge is power. And if archaeology taught me anything at all, it's, first of all, stick figures rule. But more importantly, it can really open your eyes to a lot of possibilities, cultures, what people did back then, religion, all that stuff. So the next time you hear anything about a museum or you read an historical book, go for it. You may actually learn something that you could use down the line, or if you wind up not using it, it's a little nugget of knowledge for you to have forever. And that's awesome. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe button. Follow me on social media, on YouTube. I'm very humble making this video for all you guys to watch and enjoy for today. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Happy Halloween. Oh, don't forget to change your clocks, by the way. Stay on the same time. And remember, you guys want to talk or chat with me, Italy, and I was like, take care and make good choices.